What does it mean to be a weak man versus a confident man? Hi, I'm Charlie McKeever, your Happy Man coach. And in this video, I want to talk about a conversation that came up last night on one of the small group calls that I lead. One of the men said, women don't want to be with a man who appears weak. Now, at first glance, you might think, well, there's some truth to that. You might think, well, yeah, who wants to be weak? In fact, who likes to be around anybody who's weak, whether you're a man or a woman? And what does it mean to be weak? What does it mean to be confident? And what does it mean to worry about what other people think about you? So this was what came up, and for me, is that when we are concerned about what other people think about us, and in this case, particularly our wife, our girlfriend, a woman, that we're thinking about what we think they're thinking, and then we're modifying our behavior, who we really are, in order to try to match some imagined expectation that this other person has. The problem with this is that we've now set up ourselves an external dependency, meaning we're going to modify our behavior, our way of being, what we believe to be true for ourselves based on what somebody else thinks. And more importantly, we're actually thinking that they think that we're actually saying, I think, they think this, which is really just us thinking it. And we're modifying our behavior and making choices. And then we're kind of living in this distortion of, well, I did these things because I thought somebody else wanted me to, and I didn't get the result that I wanted, so now I'm confused, I'm frustrated, I'm resentful, I'm hurt. But again, that was all us. Right? That was all our thoughts about what we thought somebody else thought. So anytime that we're referencing outside of us, what they call having an external locus of control, meaning we're making choices for ourselves based on something or someone outside of us, then we're not really owning ourselves. We're not really saying, what do I think about that? And what do I believe? And what do I want? And what do I choose? Right? We're not living our own life. We're kind of remote controlling ourselves through our thoughts about what somebody else wants for us. And then that leaves the other person in this place where that's not really what they asked for. They didn't want that power. They didn't want us to give that to us. Your wife doesn't want you to be controllable. She doesn't want to be able to reach in and change your insides. Now, she may say things, she may do things in order to try to get a result from you. She may engage in some behavior that's kind of manipulative and controlling. At the end of the day, she doesn't really want to be able to reach in and control you, because if you can be controlled, then you're not safe. You don't really know who you are. You don't really live by your own rules. You don't live by your own guidance, your own inner guidance, trusting your gut, being able to trust yourself. You're referencing someone else to try to figure out if you're doing it right, and then being frustrated by that other person because you don't get the result that you think that you should. And this is the difference between a weak man and a confident man. The weak man isn't weak. He's not weak. He's not truly weak. He's just misplaced his energy. Because the confident man knows who he is. He knows what he believes. He knows what he stands for. He knows what he agrees with and what he doesn't agree with. He knows what his healthy boundaries are. He has a healthy sense of self. He knows that he can trust himself, and that he can respect himself, and that he can take care of himself, and that he accepts himself for who he is. He's not trying to be somebody that he's not. And this is the man that she can trust. This is the man that's dependable. This is the man that will always produce the same or very, very consistent result. Because when we get into this place of trying to figure out who to be in order to please other people, we become a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. We get upset that things don't go our way. We get upset that we don't get the result that we think that we're supposed to get. We actually find ourselves in this place where we are frustrated and angry and upset at the very person that we are trying to get approval from. You know, it's very difficult for a woman to want to hug a porcupine. You know, it's one of those cases where we're saying, I'm angry with you, I love you, come nearer to me. It doesn't make any sense, right? I want to be closer to you. I'm mad at you and I want to be closer to you. Doesn't go well. So what we have to do is stop referencing other people. Stop believing our thoughts about other people. How can we presuppose to know what another person thinks? When we get up in our head and we're saying, I think that they think, we've already lost the ball game. We have to say, what do I think? And a lot of times this is hard for the men that I work with. The men that I work with haven't spent a lot of time thinking about themselves. They haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what they want and what they believe and what they feel and what they desire and what they choose. They spend a lot of time trying to please other people, trying to get other people's approval, other people's appreciation, other people's love, affection, and they haven't spent a lot of time thinking about what it is that they want. So when I ask a man in these conversations, I say, what is it that you want for yourself? A lot of times he'll say, I don't know. And that's where our journey begins. That's where we start our conversations. We say, good, you don't know. Let's work on that. Let's figure that out. Because in order for us to come from a place of confidence, a place of strength, a place of certainty, we have to know what we want. We have to know what we believe. And part of our conversations that we have together is that we surface those beliefs. In those conversations, I'll ask him to tell me about something, and then he'll start telling me, well, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, or a lot of times it's what I don't want. And he'll start saying, well, this is true or that is true. And I'll say, well, hold on, is that true? You say that like it's a fact, but tell me what that means to you. Tell me what it means for you to be loved. Tell me what it means for you to be appreciated. Tell me what it means for you to be respected. What does that mean for you? I think I know what it is, but what does that mean for you? And a lot of times as this starts to come to the surface for him, he starts to get clarity. And it's the clarity that he needs in order to make the choices that he needs to make in the moment that he needs to make them. When somebody else wants something that's against his values, against his principles, against who he enjoys being, he has to have that clarity in order to know who he is so that he can make choices for himself. So if you find yourself in this place, worrying about seeming weak, worrying about coming across weak to a woman, you're already thinking about what she's thinking about you, but you're not thinking about what you're thinking about yourself. You're putting her supposed opinion of you higher than your own. You're not valuing your opinion of you enough. So if you find yourself in this place, go to happymancoaching.com, fill out my contact form, let's schedule a call, let's get on the phone together, let's talk about these things. It's something that when we're on the inside looking out, it's very hard for us to do on our own. But when you talk with another man like this, it helps bring these things to the surface and you get the clarity that you need in order to have the strength, to have the confidence, to have the conviction to know who you are and what you want and where you're going. And I guarantee you that improves your relationships. It improves your relationship with your wife, your girlfriend, your children, your family, your friends, your coworkers, strangers on the street. You're not trying to be somebody that you're not. You're not turning yourself inside out. You're not constantly frustrated about trying to please somebody and it never seeming like it's enough or never getting the result that you want because you are too busy enjoying who you're being. So go to happymancoaching.com, fill out that contact form, schedule a call, let's talk. I guarantee you'll feel better. I guarantee you'll have the clarity and strength that you need to move forward. All right, brother, that's what I have for you today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.